Hello, and welcome to another Saturday food support group. We have these Zoom meetings every Saturday at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time. And I just invite people to come and to share their stories because I've had so many people reach out to me in private messages and tell me their stories. And I just couldn't keep it for myself. I had to share with you all of the beautiful things that are happening when people break their addiction to sugar and carbs and processed food. And they get their brains back, they get their bodies back, they get their lives back. And they're just so excited that they can't wait to tell. And so I informed everyone that I would be recording these meetings, and I encouraged them that if they wanted to remain anonymous, that they can turn the camera off. But a lot of people they want to share. They want to share what has happened to them, and they're so excited about their new life. And then I also open it up for questions. If people are still struggling and they're still on this journey, that they can come and ask questions. But if you need more individualized care than just in a group like this, feel free to email me at innerclaritysystem@gmail.com, and I'll walk you through what it looks like to work with me one-on-one. All right, thanks. I hope you enjoy the group. Good morning. Happy Saturday. We have another Saturday food support group today, and we are going to start it off today with Christine, and she would like to share her story and her experience so far. So go ahead, Chris.
So I suffer from a rare disease called CRPS, or complex regional pain syndrome. It's a lot. So I wanted to try something different to see if I can start learning how to optimize my health. I spent 14 months. I've been sick for over 2 years. And for 14 months, I did vegan. And, I just wasn't seeing any real improvement. I really did give it a fair shot.
14 months.
I was really I still take quite a bit of medication. So I was suffering with brain fog, hoping that maybe that would help me in some way, but it wasn't. And I'm also an emotional eater, especially if I'm having a high pain day. I turn to food for comfort.
Yeah, it makes sense.
To try to take my mind off of the suffering. And then I said to myself, well, this isn't working for me or contributing to my health. It's actually going to make things worse. And I was, really starting to crave a lot more sugar. And I noticed I wasn't sleeping at night, which isn't good either for brain fog. So then I came across you and Brett on Instagram, and I just started really looking through your profiles. And I said, well, you know what? I'm going to sit in on a few of these meetings. You have them to offer. I want to get some information. So it's been about a month, and it really was, I started on September 11th.
Okay.
I came across Dr. Barry on YouTube and a few other things to do with carnivore. And I went completely from whole foods, plant-based, vegan, straight into meat with
wow.
Yeah, it was way too fast, and I got really sick because I was doing low to no fat, very high carb, and I felt it. So it took me 6 months, and then around March 1st, I think I finally caught on. I've been completely sugar-free for about 2 weeks now, with the exception of an almond milk I bought. I didn't read the ingredients. I can't even explain, and I'm still learning from you. I can't even explain, my cravings are gone. It was very difficult to really stick with this because I kept cheating and rewarding myself once a month. Or if I was in a mood, I would get cookies, but that's not going all the way. I want to do it right.
Yeah.
I've been completely sugar free, and I was even nursing myself with nut butter. I stopped that about 5 days ago, and I don't really think about it. So I do feel that there is something, my brain is making these new connections. I've got 5 books on my table right now. I am reading about history. I don't read. I can't concentrate through the brain fog.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I have to say, there's something to this. And now I'm thinking, okay, where's all my food? I want to know where the meat's coming from. And it's like my mind is opening up in places I didn't think was possible. So, and for me to be sharing here, it's a lot because I'm very shy, and I struggle with communication because of my brain fog is so heavy. I don't want to, I trip on my words and all, but over the last month, I really have seen such a drastic improvement. And even my own son, he's 20, even his diet is changing. And I didn't say anything. He's just watching.
Wow.
And now he's like making hamburgers for breakfast, and he's not eating cereal. And it really is, it's like a ripple effect. So I appreciate it. And I'm just so thankful that I have this opportunity to learn from you. And maybe there is something in this for me. Maybe I can heal to some extent. I'm sleeping better.
Wow.
Oh, goodness. I am actually tired at the end of the day. I'm not snacking in front of Netflix, like nursing my pain. I feel like I'm like walking more into it and saying, okay, let's figure out how to be empowered by this. Let's not cover up with snacks. So I'm thankful. So I really appreciate it. That's where I'm at so far.
Incredible. That is incredible. And I really do feel like there is some kind of like a rewiring that goes on in your brain. And I don't understand it. I've seen it happen so many times with so many clients that they prioritize animal meat and animal fat, all of a sudden their brain just like goes online.
That's
and
what's
like
happening.
starts working. And you're like,
yes.
Oh, no, this is what it feels like to be a human. This is what
Yeah.
it feels like to have a functioning brain.
This is what I'm starting to notice. And it's very overwhelming for me because I'm not used to this. I'm used to being in a very deep fog. And I don't know, things are happening around me that are not ideal, and I'm okay. Like, it's incredible. So I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep going.
That's so awesome. Well, thank you so much for listening. I'm so glad. There's something about whenever I talk to Brett, because
he's
I think
amazing.
we both have come from the trenches of mental illness.
Yeah.
And we're just able to speak on it, and really go deep into the trenches, but then to bring everybody back up and go, but there's hope. Like there's a different story that we can tell instead of, oh, well, I was on this medication for this many years and this and that. And, and I had this side effect from this medication. Like, we're actually able to say something that is not common.
It's not. And that's why it took me a little while to really, because I was taught you cook the living daylights out of your food. You don't eat this, you eat a lot of bread. Like, that's how I grew up. So this is completely different, but the results don't lie. And I actually today, used to be a runner before I got hurt. I just learned how to walk again. So, it's been a struggle. There was a 5K in my neighborhood. I actually went outside with my dog and we walked 2 blocks and we cheered all the runners on. About 6 months ago, I would have been so angry and bitter. There's no way I would have even stepped outside, but I felt like I was participating. And to me, like, that little win, it's everything to me. So now it makes me wonder, well, how far can I take this? So thank you, thank you, thank you.
No problem. But Christine, hold on, because the ride gets better. Hold on,
because you are going to be just astonished by the healing that continues. To go from such basically a paralyzation to being able to function, and then to see the not only the light at the end of the tunnel, but to smell the flowers and see the butterflies, and it just, life gets so beautiful as you heal. And I'm not the same person I was a year ago, and I started this journey 3 years ago. So I'm absolutely not the same person I was 3 years ago, but I continue to grow, and I continue to heal, and I continue to learn. Like, I remember, I think it was about 6 months ago, or maybe a year ago, I got a cold, and oh my goodness, I mean, I was just like, oh, I forgot how bad this feels. But I laid in bed and I said, I'm going to use this time to read, because I don't have anything, I can't do anything else. So I laid and I read a 400-page book.
That's
in bed while I was sick.
That's incredible. Oh my goodness.
It's absolutely baffled me. And and that's why I won't shut up about it. That's why I keep talking about it. That's why I have these meetings, is just to tell people that there is more out there. And I'm so excited that you went from that mind frame of vegetarian and vegan, and where you were able to still say, okay, obviously this isn't working. Let's try something new. That was brave. That was really brave to step into that space. I
appreciate that.
And it's scary when you're already hurting so much. So has the pain improved at all?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I have chronic pain issues, but my back hasn't gone out. And I am making, because I have degenerative arthritis, and anyone that suffers that knows when your back goes out, it's miserable. I learned how to make homemade bone broth, and I take that, and my healing time, I've noticed, is a lot faster.
Wow.
It's incredible. Yeah. So, and I don't miss sugar, and I don't even, and I went down the snack aisle with my son because he's still eating protein bars. I could smell the cookies. Like I never could smell that before, but it's like overwhelming now, because the further away you get, the more you can like smell the chemicals.
Yes, absolutely. And I was just talking to a client this morning who, she said that she was frustrated. They did a fundraiser, and she had sausage and eggs, and then somebody brought donuts. And she was frustrated that temptation was there. And I was like, let's do the opposite. Let's be thankful that is there. And that reminds you of how far you've come, because you didn't eat the donuts.
Yep.
Like that's
where
huge.
I'm at. I'm right there right now. My son can leave his snacks downstairs, and I'm not in the fridge all night long digging in the pie, and nope, it doesn't even appeal to me anymore. So I'm going to keep going.
That's amazing. Well, keep us updated. Thank you so much for looking at my my Instagram or my YouTube channel or whatever you were looking at, because I say these things and I do these things to help others. And I'm so blessed that helped you. Awesome. Thanks, Christine. Claire, you wanted to add something?
Yeah, if I have a couple of time, I just wanted to say to Chris that I understand perfectly where she has been, because I've been vegan before. So I can relate, and I just want to tell her that it's only the beginning, and all the good is coming, and you are now able to focus much more, and you're changing your food, but then through this community, you will find other stuff to improve your health, to reduce your pain. Emily is always speaking about grounding, and because you're not food obsessed, you can ground easily. Then you're able to meditate. It helps as well a lot. And so, yeah, you have the food at the moment, but then you have all the other stuff, and you will feel incredible in a couple of weeks. And every day you will want to add something to just to heal your entire body and your brain. And this is a fantastic journey, and I'm so grateful I went through, and I'm still going through, and I can just keep going.
That's so awesome. Thank you, Claire. And Claire and Jules do a meeting also, and I will try and put the link in the YouTube video, where they really help people with more of the nuts and bolts of mental health and this way of eating. So thank you so much for the work that you do.
Thank you.
Karen, good morning.
Hi, good morning. Chris, I didn't catch the beginning of your story, but it sounds really interesting, and you'll have even more healing to come. So keep it up, girl. Hey, I'm doing something I've never done before. I'm driving right now to watch bulls and female cows get sold. I'm going to a sale to watch cows get sold. Isn't that awesome?
That's awesome.
Who would have ever done that before? Not me. But I know these farmers. I'm actually getting a quarter cow from them really soon, probably in the next couple of weeks or so. So it's going to be fun to see. And I've been to their property before to check it out. And it's pretty cool. But I'm going to go watch bulls. I mean, I'm going to be right there at this little barn. And it's going to be cool. They're like big time farmers. And they just got into selling their beef to local people lately instead of just selling all their stuff. They now started selling to local people, and I know the family. So I said, I'm going to go support them and buy from them.
That's awesome. That is so cool. And I would love to hear your experience getting farm fresh meat.
Oh, I've done it now. Well, I've been doing it for about 4 years. When I started keto 4 years ago, I did keto for low carb for 2 years and a carnivore for 2. And I've been buying it since then. And I love getting that quarter cow every now and then.
Great.
Yeah. I think it's going to be a lot more expensive right now this time of year. I mean, with everything, it's so crazy. I know it went up last time I got it 9 months ago. So I'm sure this time it's going to be even worse. But that's okay. It's better than going to the grocery store and buying it, I feel.
I know. My farmers, this last visit, they were like, I'm sorry we had to increase our prices. And I'm like, I get it. Like, I totally get it. The price of gas goes up, then, it just happens.
Right. My family, my husband and my son, we're in the trucking industry, and everything, I know price of fuel and stuff. It's crazy. So, the cost of living, it's not 1980 anymore. We're going to be paying big bucks for stuff. We want it. We know it's nutrient for us, and we got to get it.
Absolutely.
I still buy. If I'm in a grocery store, even though I know I'm getting a quarter cow soon, if I'm in a grocery store and I see ribeyes or ribs, beef ribs, really cheap or stuff I love, I still buy it, even though I know I'm getting a quarter cow, and even though I know I have some in the freezer. But when they're cheap, I got to get them. That's how I feel.
I got it. Yeah. And also I realized that, eating this way really does save me money on my healthcare cost and my medication, and my time spent being productive. Go ahead.
Yeah, and you're not going up and down the grocery aisles. You do dairy, meat, and get out. I mean, the time you save grocery shopping, the time you save in the kitchen, chopping and slicing and all that. It's so easy. It's like crazy. Hey, my friend that met with you with her future daughter-in-law really enjoyed her chat with you yesterday.
Awesome. I hope to be able to help them.
Yeah, they need it.
Thank you, Karen.
Anyway, that's what I have. Thank you.
Have fun today, and make sure and post lots of pictures.
Okay, I will. Thank you.
I always say this wrong. Dema. Dima.
Question is for Karen. So
Okay.
I'm on her Instagram. I'm like following everything she posts. I'm looking, and I saw her Instagram before. I mean, I've known you for a couple months now, but from the first. But from her, I still don't know what persuaded.
Hello?
Did she? Yeah.
Dima, I can't hear you. I heard you don't know what persuade.
Oh, sorry. I said, so I've actually been following Karen longer on Instagram, and I've known you for a couple months.
Yeah.
Hello.
And I mean, I see everything, all her stories, everything she posts on Instagram, but I still don't know until this day why she, what persuaded her to go carnivore.
Oh,
All
go
right.
ahead, Karen.
I did low carb for 2 years, and I felt great doing low carb. I had a lot of improvements. I lost weight. My body felt better, but I had a really bad ankle pain for like 3 weeks. I mean, I'm a PE teacher, and I was limping. I couldn't get around. It was terrible. And I've been hearing Dr. Berry talk about this for a while. I said, you know what? I'm going to give it a try. So I gave it a try, and in 3 days, that ankle pain was totally gone. So all the other pains started going, my hip pain, my shoulder pain. When I would sleep, I would have a terrible night's sleep, tossing and turning, because my shoulders hurt, my hips hurt, my knees hurt, and they don't hurt anymore. And I'm 62 and a half, and I feel great. And thank you for asking. What's your name?
Dima.
Well, nice meeting you.
Nice meeting you. I'm so honored.
Oh, thanks for listening.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I will also post carnivore twins, or is it twin carnivores? I think it's carnivore twins.
Yeah, Carnivore Twins. Jackie
Carnivore
Jones
Twins.
and I just started a YouTube channel. We only have 2 videos up, but yep. Thank you.
That's great. That's great. And that's what I think is so awesome, is to learn from just real life people and their experience. And I have heard so many clients say that their pain went away. And what we do is a society is we just assume that pain is part of life. Pain is part of aging. Pain is normal. It's common, but it's not normal. It's absolutely not normal. And so now whenever I'm working out every day and I'm functioning and I don't have pain, it's just like I'm a whole new human. Like I feel superhuman. I really do, compared to what I felt like before. I was popping 800 milligrams of ibuprofen a day just to function, just to get around. And oh my goodness, what that probably did to my liver and my body. I mean, I was taking it like candy. I mean, constantly taking ibuprofen just to get through the pain. But anyway, thank you so much for asking that question, Dima. And thank you for answering, Karen. I love your story. I could hear it every day. And Ivana has a question also. Go ahead, Ivana.
Hello, everyone. So I was talking about I'm kind of thinking about the situation of, I have a daughter, 2.5 years, almost 3, in the end of the month. And I try to keep her as carnivore as possible. Even though, because she has a lot of allergies as well, I have noticed a lot of things when introducing food. But she started going daycare, I take all the food, I cook all the food, and I take the food with her to daycare. So she doesn't, basically, because it's crazy the amount of sugar and carbs that they give in the daycare. It's just absolutely insane.
Disgusting.
And you don't find one that actually has a decent menu. It's serious problems, like in that sense. But and then get me start thinking about other situations like parties and things like that. That recently I haven't gone. any of this. So I don't know how to actually navigate much this party and gatherings and things like that. So I was wondering if everyone could share maybe a story or some kind of situations with the kids, or maybe what you tell them, maybe the right words to tell, because I don't want to force her doing anything. I just want to make sure I kind of educate her, and for her to do good decisions. I know she's just 2.5, but I think we start slowly. Yeah, so I don't think it's right to let her eat whatever or don't explain anything. They are actually smarter than we actually think. I can see that from other aspects. So I want to just start good habits, and I don't know how to do it when I'm outside in parties and with other kids, other moms and things like that.
Yes, absolutely. So does anybody have anything that they want to add to that? Go ahead and come off mute. If you have any tips on, or even if you're in the same boat with your kids. Unfortunately, Claire had to go. For me personally, it is glaringly obvious that it is ridiculous the way that we reward our children with sugar. And we are conditioning them to operate in the same addiction that we are in, because that's what happened to us. Oh, good, you got the right answer. Here's a candy. Here's a sucker. Oh, good, you were a good boy or a good girl and you did this. So let's go get ice cream. Okay, here's a candy bar. Here's this, here's that. It is rampant. It is absolutely baffling the amount of sugar that we give small children. And it is overwhelming whenever you really think about it and you assess society as a whole. You're like, okay, what do I have to do? Like, go run away to the hills and like be in a cottage? Like, how am I going to do this? But one of the best things that I have found is for people to use like birthday parties or situations like that outside of the home as like a science experiment, as an example, and to really talk to your kids about like, how do you feel? What do you feel? And to associate their symptoms with the sugar, with the food. Like, oh, I see that you're really upset right now. Like, I remember I had my son went and he basically gorged on birthday cake and soda. And the next day he was talking to me and he got angry and he just started crying. And I was just like, do you see that you're not really in control of your emotions because of what you ate yesterday? And did he tell me, yes, Mom, you're right. That's a good point? No, but he heard my words. And there's these tiny little moments that you can have with these children to really build them into the humans that we would hope that they are able to become. So I know that it's not going to be like overnight and your kid's not going to just go, wow, thank you, Mom, so much for encouraging me to eat animal meat and animal fat. Like they're not going to do that. But they are going to notice a difference and they're going to remember that experience from what you're pointing to. And then I have the example this week that I posted about where my son came downstairs and he's 14 years old right now. And he smiled and said, I love you, which is a miracle at 14 years old. But then he grabbed my yoga mat and it was 6:30 in the morning and he went to go do sit-ups and push-ups. And I was like, already, bud? I was like, you just woke up. Why are you working out already? And he goes, that's what you do, Mom. And I was like, oh my goodness, he's watching me. he's watching me. Like I didn't have, I just thought, he's 14. He's just ignoring me. He's whatever. I'm not on his radar, but they are watching us. And at 2.5, absolutely they are watching you. And at 14, when they act like they're not watching you, they're watching you. And at 20 years old, like Christine, you said, with your son eating the burgers for breakfast and not the cereal, they're watching us.
Absolutely. And I can relate to the emotional aspect of this. Because I had a similar situation because of something that happened, as life does. And I said the same thing to my son. I said, what are you eating? Maybe cut back on the sugar, because this really does have an impact. So we started becoming ingredient detectives, and we eliminated, like I told him, just keep reading the packages, and especially do not eat anything with those colored dyes in it. Because when he was a kid, he actually got really sick from one of those, from a bag of Skittles. We had to go to the emergency room. His mouth got stuck, something with the dye. And I don't know, ever since I started this, he's been slowly just following along, and his mood is more like linear.
Wow.
There's no more of those ups and downs. And I remember, I still can't really drive. So he takes me out. And I remember him saying, I got to get home. I'm hangry. I got to eat. And he would start shaking. But now I don't see that as much. So
wow.
we're an overfed society. Like you said, they just push the sweets. And I see it happening with so many of my own friends. And I don't know what to say, because they normalize it. It's not normal. But they can't see it. And I understand, because I've been there. I've lived that life.
Absolutely. And I think it's really important to understand that nature has grace. And
it really does.
Even if your child is 14 years old or 20 years old or 50 years old, nature has grace. I started eating this way at 40 years old. 40 years old. And mine got to like the absolute worst situation. I couldn't walk. I had delayed and slurred speech. I couldn't talk. I had brain fog so severe. I had mental illness with the bipolar disorder. Looked like the multiple sclerosis was going to take me out. It was degenerative. It was going to continue to get worse. But I was able to take this 40-year ship and turn it around. So we have to know that with our children, that nature has grace, and that we have to do the best that we can every day. And that needs to be enough. We don't need to freak out. We don't need to, like you said, like totally get so rigid that we're obsessing about it.
Right.
Because that's just gonna, make things more difficult. If anything, it'll make them kind of rebel. But I think it's really important to just take it back, because what I love about the science experiment is scientists observe and document. Scientists do not judge and punish. So we need to look at it from that perspective with our children, that we're going to observe and document what happened when they ate certain foods.
Yep.
Not judge and punish them. They're
Absolutely.
children. And we need to do the same with ourselves. We don't need to be judged and punished for what we've done, because we've been put in this society. We've been trained as children to be in this big lie that sugar is okay and that carbs are fine. And we've been conditioned as children to do this. So the best way to do that is to observe and document, and to do the best that we can every day.
I feel like sometimes I kind of obsess a little bit about it, to be honest, because I know she has allergies. I know how much better I feel eating this way as well. like Chris was saying, like this week I'm in the same mood as she was, man. She was saying things. I was like, oh my gosh, me too. I'm like this, So it's just fantastic, and I want her to have the same kind of thing. So I end up maybe obsessing a little bit about it. I should kind of put myself a little bit in the backseat probably about it.
This is a little bit outside of what I usually do in the meetings. But with my clients that I work with one-on-one, I prioritize meditation. And I know that we've probably all heard, sit in a quiet place and take a deep breath, and you're like, blah, blah, blah. But if you can do that specifically with this, it makes a huge shift in your mindset. To sit there in that moment and say, I know that my baby is well. I know that I am doing the best I can for my baby. I know that she is absolutely brilliantly designed, and that her body is going to function the way that it is designed to function. I know that her cells are coming alive. And I know that the good things that are in her body are going to multiply. And just, that was simple. Those was like 4 or 5 simple statements. But if you can just sit for a moment in that and to just speak that over your child, over your daughter, it actually changes the mood. It changes your mindset to go, all is well. All is well. Because that's the most powerful place that you can operate from, is to know that all is well and that you are going to continue doing the right thing. Does that help?
Thank you. Yeah, definitely. Because sometimes I get myself thinking about, I'm giving too much fruits. I just basically give berries. Am I like 2 a week, 2 a day is like 2 months? I gotta slow down that thing. Thank you. That's nice. I think Rebecca had some. Probably she was trying to say something about it as well. I didn't know. I think I cut her off.
Yeah, no, I'll definitely get to Rebecca. Also, I think it's really good to speak those things over yourself. I know that I am a good mom. I know that I am in the best place that I can be right now. I know that I am making better choices every single day for my baby that I love. I know that all is well, and that everything is absolutely working according to plan, and that I'm on time. I'm right where I'm supposed to be right in this moment. I'm not late. I wasn't late whenever I was 40 years old. You're not late with her being 2.5 years old. You are doing an excellent job. And you almost have to nurture yourself and tell yourself that on a daily basis. Becky, I see that you wrote something in the chat. I still have trouble when watching my young grandkids. Anxiety about feeding them and around foods they sometimes bring with them. I try and feed them carnivore, but they still transition and want carbs. I'm tempted to eat their snacks and bread and pasta. Okay. So did you want to add anything else to that, Becky?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm getting ready to go on vacation, and so I had my camera off because I'm running around doing errands while I'm listening. Sorry about that. But my older daughter and 3 grandchildren are moving to Hawaii, so we're kind of helping them. So that'll be fun, though. But yeah, I have trouble. Like, I'm going to have grandchildren over this afternoon, and it's like they know we pretty much don't have any junk food at our house, maybe a few nuts, but and then they like eggs and bacon. They have their own chickens, but when their mom brings them a few treats to eat because we don't have it, then if they don't, I'm not eating their food particularly out of their mouth, but when they leave it or something, I'll start picking at it. I'm like, ugh. Yeah. So that's for me a hard thing.
It is hard. It is really hard. And it's one of those things that we don't normally have like in our environment. And so then to have it there, it's just like a temptation. It really is. So have you noticed a time before that you have resisted eating their food?
Yeah, I think so. I'm sometimes I'm successful and sometimes I'm not.
Okay,
I do even have an experience too, where my best friend from childhood, it was her birthday on Monday, so we went out of town to visit her, and we brought like carnivore foods to eat that were prepared, like eggs and bacon and some chicken wings. And we went out to lunch and had a nice hamburger with just the meat, but they're not carnivores. But then afterwards, somebody had given her a really high quality, delicious hot chocolate for her birthday. So she said, "Hey, do you want me to make you hot chocolate?" And I didn't. I shouldn't, but I will. She made it with almond milk, and then the hot chocolate was sugary. Oh my goodness! For 2 days, I was sick from that, like with diarrhea and not being able to hardly want to leave the house because I'm like, okay, I'm not drinking that anymore. But it's still certain things you can't be in denial about, because I was pretty blatant. But other things like, sourdough bread, that's not going to kill me. But it just sort of sets it all up into motion again.
It really does. So wouldn't it be logical to think that if you can, and that you have resisted that temptation in the past, that it's possible that you can resist that temptation today?
Yeah.
Because if you know that you have that power within you, then you know that power can happen again.
Yeah. In fact, I was remembering, some of I mentioned before, in 2011, I had weight loss surgery, and it sort of changed. You have like a honeymoon phase, they say, and it changed my appetite. So I would eat, I would be full, and I wouldn't want to eat anymore. And actually, when you do a weight loss surgery, they pretty much put you on a carnivore keto diet for the first year and a half with meat and vegetables. But of course, they're telling you lean protein, not fatty meats. So I remember thinking, like, why would anybody want to eat a potato chip? Oh my God, what are those people eating donuts for? Like, it would just make me want to just like be repulsed. So I'm thinking, like, what's changed? I was so like not wanting any of that stuff, and just felt like things were being honked at to drive. I was at a stoplight by my house. So let me pull over. So yeah, I know I've had that feeling before. I'm like, I think my ghrelin and leptin were maybe imbalance or something at that point. And I just didn't, like, I had that feeling that you guys talk about where you just don't want it anymore and you're almost repulsed by it. But then after a couple of years, I, whatever, it's back. And I changed my diet too.
Yeah, I do think that there's a lot to be said for the gut biome. And I am not a scientist. I do not understand all of this. And literally the way that I think about it is in a preschool terms, preschool example of that there is bad gut bacteria and there is good gut bacteria. And your bad gut bacteria is screaming for sugar. It is screaming. It is saying, feed me, feed me, feed me, feed me. And so it is the one that is causing you the cravings. And as you feed it sugar, it gets louder and it stays there. And as you starve it, it gets weaker and weaker and weaker. And then the good gut bacteria are stronger. And they're the ones saying, feed me meat, feed me fat. And so it's all in who you feed and who you starve. So if you know that craving is actually the bad gut bacteria screaming for sugar because that's what it feeds on, then it's a little bit easier to go, nope, you don't need that. I'm the adult here and you don't need that. And I'm going to starve you, bad bacteria, because you're trying to kill me. You're not trying to heal me.
That's a good way to think about it. It's like, you're not going to trick me again.
Yep. And sometimes it's good to have those simple preschool, examples because I could get lost in the science and it's way over my head and I don't understand it all. But if I know that there's bad bacteria in me screaming for sugar, I can just tell it to shut up and just go, no. And to find the reason why. If it's continuing, Becky, you might need to go to a naturopath or somewhere that they can prescribe you like a prebiotic or a probiotic to really neutralize or whatever, figure out your gut biome and find out what the imbalance is, because it's not something that you have experienced that freedom before.
Right. And okay, on that note, I don't drink milk, but I drink heavy cream in my coffee. And then I don't eat a lot of cheese, but I'm eating cheese. Sometimes I try to get raw if I can find it, but it's not that common in my neighborhood. So it's like when I get it, I can get it. Do you think that type of dairy with the the pasteurized cheese and cream contributes to sugar cravings? Or is that like a good thing to do to kind of like ward off the sugar cravings?
Yeah. I think it's kind of like a gateway drug. And I think that, yeah, it definitely contributes to it, but I think you don't really know until you do your own experiment. Until you remove the food and then you reintroduce it. That's whenever you can know. If you remove whatever the culprit you think it is for 30 to 45 days, and then you reintroduce one new food a week, say you reintroduce the cheese and you're fine. You just have the cheese and you're good. You don't have any crazy cravings. Or you reintroduce the cheese and then your brain goes nuts and you start thinking about all sorts of food and you're constantly like obsessing about how can I get my next hit of cheese, then you know that's a problem, but you don't know until you do your own experiment.
Oh, okay. Right. Because see, I was kind of using the heavy cream and bacon to like ward off, like, okay, like I'll have bacon around. I'm like, I'm going to eat some bacon so I don't eat something else.
Bacon is a great choice.
So even though I'm craving bacon, it's not the same as, because I'm kind of like, where am I going to get my next hit of bacon? I'm like totally like, bacon? What? We're going somewhere? Will there be bacon there?
Yeah, no, I get it. I totally get it. And I do think that heavy cream is a better choice than milk because there's obviously less sugar in that. And so you have to make that decision. You have to make that, navigate that.
Like an experiment.
Yes. And then it doesn't matter what Dr. So-and-so says or this YouTuber says, you're on the Becky plan, you're on the Becky protocol, and you have totally done this experiment and you know what works best for you, that you don't have diarrhea and gas and cravings and emotional, ups and downs, that that whenever you eat these things that you feel best.
Yeah, I was eating this was something that I did. I know it's wrong. So I was eating raw yogurt or kefir. It was probiotic. It was like nothing in it, just no sugar. It was a whole thing. But then it was a little sour. So I had gotten rid of all the honey that I had in my house. But then I kind of tricked myself. I had a cut on my leg that wasn't healing. And I thought, people say honey is a good thing to use on cuts. So I bought some honey for my cut. And then I'm like, well, I have honey. I'll put it on the yogurt. And then I noticed a lot of gas. And then I was wanting to eat the yogurt with the honey on it like all the time.
Yeah, the difference. See, you just said, the difference between obsessive thoughts and regular thoughts. The difference between like being obsessed with a food and being like, oh yeah, it's time to eat. It's time to feed myself.
Right. But I thought that was a pretty good trick to myself. Like, oh, I'm going to use this honey for wound healing. No, I'm not. I'm going to eat it.
But that's what the addictive mind does. The addictive mind tries to look for any loophole. I mean, the addictive mind is brilliant. It will go.
We would have been good lawyers or tax evaders looking for loopholes.
There we go. There we go. Absolutely.
Well, thank you, Emily. I appreciate your encouragement.
No problem. No problem. Thanks for coming to the meeting. And I love those questions.
I am bringing an ice chest full of food with me to be gone. Well, I'm going to be gone for 2 weeks. I'm bringing all my favorites.
Good. That's brilliant. You got to keep us updated and let us know how it goes.
Sure. Okay, I'm going to listen, but I'm going to drive.
Okay. Ivana?
I just want to say one thing that Rebecca was talking about, the milk and the cheese. I don't have much intention on that. I don't want to eat that stuff much as well. But I kind of start looking at it as with a different intention of, I started feeling like I was eating all the same food. And I felt like, I started thinking about, oh, I'd like to eat something different. And that brought me that cheese and the heavy cream that I use. I made some different sauce. It's not for all the time. Like I made a lasagna is my favorite food, but I made a lasagna all carnivore. You know, like I think sometimes if you see that in a different way, it kind of helps you instead of just bringing like, oh, I'm eating cheese or my cravings are coming back. I actually saw that as a cutting off, going completely to the other side, like eating the pasta from processed pasta or something, you know, like I just feel like sometimes my experience this week was about that. And I made something with that cheese and some heavy cream to have this a little bit different food for this time.
Yeah. And to make it be kind of like a safe cheat, you know, like I call it like a safety net food. Like this isn't something that I know I feel best on, but this isn't donuts and pizza and ice cream. Like this is okay. I'm intentionally allowing myself to eat this right now.
Yeah, I just want to add that on. Sorry, I just want, because I'm going through this week the same thing. I just want to add that on. I don't think sometimes we try to put ourselves such in a perfect level, and sometimes these things are just, you know, it's not that bad. Like you said, like those things that you just said, I'm just getting there. So I just wanted to say that. Thank you. Sorry.
No, I love that. I'm glad you added that. Anna says, different question, but what are your recommendations for getting over food poisoning while on a carnivore diet and experiencing nausea and meat aversion during that? Oh my goodness. I have a client right now going through this. It wasn't food poisoning, it was COVID. And she's got severe nausea and meat aversion now. And she was doing so good. And so we just had to kind of like switch tactics here and go to the meats that she does want. So Anna, what I would suggest is that you go to the meats that you do want, and to include those safety net foods. The safety net foods that I talk about are like olives, pickles, mustard, because a lot of times you can make like a burger that you don't really want, but you can put mustard on it and it makes it a little bit more palatable. Bacon seems to always be a good safety net food, because I'm not a safety net, but it good for like meat aversion, because most people still want bacon. Chicken usually seems to be something. If you eat sashimi, salmon, usually that's what's really helped my client. Any kind of sashimi, really. Even if you want to eat it cooked fish, especially like right now we're talking about Lent. Lent is from, I think, March 2nd to April 14th, that you're supposed to eat more fish. And so fish would be a good choice to do during that. And then to include the things like we were just talking about with the heavy cream and the cheese. just to get yourself, even if you have to like have your meat covered in cream sauce and cheese, but you know that you're getting the nutrients that you want. So does that help a little bit, Anna? Yes. Okay. Awesome. But meat aversion is a real thing. It's a real thing, and it's important to really push through it and to get through to the other side, and to know that it does not last forever. And to allow yourself to really be in that space and take that time to get back to what you need to, because I think that, again, it goes into that gut biome thing, that you have, the good bacteria and the bad bacteria, and stuff kind of gets thrown around whenever you have viruses, and just get back to the healthy balance. Awesome. All right. Well, thank you guys so much. If nobody has any other questions or anything that you guys want to share, I absolutely love meeting with you guys every Saturday, and I won't stop doing it because it's so fun. And I always learn something. I always learn something from all of these awesome stories. So thanks for sharing. Bye.
Hey, I hope you enjoyed the group. There is always so much beauty in being transparent and in really recognizing that we're all not alone on this journey. And so if you want to, feel free to join the Saturday support groups. They're every Saturday at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time. And if you need more individualized care, then reach out to me and email me at innerclaritysystem@gmail.com. And I would love to walk through and show you what it looks like to work with me one-on-one. All right. Thanks.